am, and the computer is also telling me as well. Welcome, everyone, to the April 2020 Mug meeting. My name is Craig Maloney, and I will be hosting this meeting that we're having online. Joining me as well are some of the other members of Mug, the Mug board members. We have Jim McQuillan standing over yon way, waving. We have Justin Triplett as well.
Hi there.
And looking to see who else might be here. Any other board members? I know we have one of our board member emeriti, and that would be Sharon over there with a big S over his name. Anyways, let me start sharing some slides and go over some of the things and meeting business, and we'll get started. So reminder to everyone, please mute yourselves and not only mute yourselves, but also mute your telephones and other devices that you may have that may go off during the meeting. As much as we'd like to hear all your lovely ringtones and such, that might be a little distracting. So feel free to mute your stuff as much as you are willing and are able. Once again, I'd like to introduce the board members. We have Lazaro Carlos Carroll, James Heiss, Craig Maloney, who is speaking to you right now, Jim McQuillan, Dave Satwitz, and Justin Triplett. Sharon Kawani is our board member emeritus. Jim Gluding is also a board member emeritus. And Richard Williams is our treasurer and also handles our memberships. I'd like to welcome anyone who's here for the first time. And I know there's a bunch of folks that are here online for the first time. I was wondering if you could please raise your hand if you're here for the first time. And if you feel like it, if you'd like to introduce yourself and say a little bit. Before you do that, though, let me remind you, we are broadcasting this to YouTube. So if you would like to, if you're comfortable with saying something and you're also comfortable with it being out on YouTube, feel free to say something very shortly. So hands raised. Nate, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I think my camera and microphone should hopefully be working.
Okay.
I got the link from Justin, and I never seem to make it out to the physical meetings, but it's like, oh, I should do that one of these days, and doing it online is super convenient. So thank you.
Gotcha. Awesome. Shania. Yeah. I think you're muted.
Shayna.
Thank you. Pardon me.
I am no longer muted, I think. Yeah, hey, I'm Shayna. I don't actually live in Michigan, but I like Linux and talking to people about Linux. I don't know, I'm pretty good with Linux, I guess.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? I'm looking through the list here. People are... Fellow Jitster, go ahead. Fellow Jitster. One of you. Dave.
Yeah, hi there. I'm a first timer. Linux user for a couple years, actually based out of West Bloomfield, so local. Nothing like you decided I should go to a couple of user groups here and there. I work as a DevOps engineer. Nothing like coronavirus to decide to do things social, right? Yeah, mostly just took a look online. Noticed this is an online meeting today. I've heard a little bit about Jitsi, so I wanted to kind of hear a little more from some people that probably have more experience with it and get an idea of how I might be able to use it.
Awesome. I saw one other hand. Fluffy, please.
Hi.
Welcome.
I'm Fluffy.
Excellent.
The engineer. I actually live in Florida, but currently visiting Michigan. And I've been looking at setting up some kind of video conference server. And then this happened to come across through i3 Detroit, which I'm loosely affiliated with.
Excellent.
So good circumstances, and glad to hear what you have.
Excellent. I see one for fellow Jitster that keeps. I'm trying to scroll through these, and unfortunately, it keeps doing very interesting things with the scroll order. So if you have your hand up, feel free to unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. John Lawden, please go ahead and speak.
Hi there. I'm a former president of the user group. I'm now down in Tennessee.
Welcome. Glad to have you with us. And press the 4 squares at the bottom of the screen for the title view. Yeah, I don't want to do the title view right now at the moment, because if I do the title view, it changes the streaming. I've noticed that. So trying to keep it a little large for folks that are actually streaming. So okay. Fellow Jitster, please speak.
Hey, my
Hello.
name is Gemini.
Hi, pleasure to meet you.
First timer here. I'm in Brighton, Michigan. I currently work for GE Aviation, and we are all locked down, so working from home.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you made it out here. Thank you. All right. If there's anyone else who would like to speak, I'm going to give you about, say, 1 more minute, and then okay. Well, why don't we continue on to the slides, and if we, we'll give an opportunity for people to talk later on during the conversation. Membership. I'd like to talk a little bit about membership. Is Mr. Satwitz on the line? I do not see Dave on here. Jim, would you like to talk a little bit about membership, please?
I just sent Dave another text because he said, I can just call on me. I will be ready. So I don't know where he is. Let's give him a minute. I sent him a text to tell him we are ready for him.
Okay. I was hoping he would be a little more prompt with that.
Yeah. Let's come back to Dave.
Okay. I'd like to mention a little bit about our board member elections. Usually during the month of April, we are usually picking our new board. However, because we are not in each other's presence, we will hold the elections when we reconvene in person. If you would like to, however, become a candidate, you can do so by first off being a paid-up member of MUG. Our membership rates are, our standard membership is $50 and our corporate membership is $200. This usually flows in much better when we start talking about the memberships before I start talking about elections.
Yeah.
That's another story altogether. You can nominate yourself or someone who is willing to be a board member. The person who is nominated needs to be a member, though. That is our only stipulation. Voting is open also to paid-up members of MUG via the standard and corporate membership as well. And we don't know when the next election is going to be, unfortunately, because we don't know when we're going to be reconvening. We do know that the library has said that the May meeting is also going to be online. So our earliest will probably be June. Here's hoping that we'll be having an election in June. But again, if you'd like to nominate yourself or someone else who is a member, send a note over to our mailing list over at board@mug.org. That's board@mug.org. Or just head to the website and you'll see a link on there for contacting us. Is Dave Satwitz on the line?
I don't see him.
Okay.
So I will be happy to talk about membership.
All right. Thank you.
So membership. We are a free organization. Everybody's entitled to come for free. We will not pressure you. We just like to see lots and lots of people. However, we do have expenses. Normally, one of our expenses is the library. It costs us $90 a month to have our presentations, to have our meetings at the Farmington Community Library. It's a fantastic location. big auditorium, lots of chairs, big screen, projector, all that kind of stuff. So that's our biggest expense. I think it costs us like $1,080 a year, if my math is right. 90 times 12. So that's a big expense. We have other smaller expenses. We like to buy the speaker dinner. Of course, tonight we won't be doing that, but we have other smaller expenses. Anyway, the way we cover those expenses is by people actually paying for a paid membership. We have a standard membership of $50 a year. We have a corporate membership of $200 a year, and if you buy a corporate membership, then everybody in your corporation is a member. And we have a student membership of $10 a year. If you are a student, you can do that. And we have an online, more of a patronage kind of a thing. That's $10. You can, it helps us cover the costs. If you're partaking of our meetings online and you want to help, becoming a member is easy. You can go to the MUG website. It's mug.org. There's a link there for membership. You click on that and you can pay online, or you can mail a check in to Richard Williams.
We also have an online form for membership as well. So if you wanted to pay online, you could do that.
Yes, you can pay online. I think I covered it all. By being a member, you can be on the board of directors if you get elected, and you also get to vote in the board elections, like Craig said, whenever that is. We're hoping for June. That's I think that covers the membership. So it's a great way to support the organization. It lets us keep on doing this, because without the membership money, we would not be able to have our in-person meetings. So please, if you get value out of this, help us out.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Maybe you guys can share the link for the membership.
If you go to mug.org, mug.org, that will take you right there. And there's a section over there to allow you to go and do membership and sign up for membership and that. Usually during our meetings, we do jobs looking for people. Are there any jobs out there that might be looking for people? Gib, you may speak.
Thank you. So this is Gib, one of the longtime members, and I work for Ford Motor Company, FORD.com. If you go to FORD.com and go way down the bottom, there's a little thing you can click on called Careers. And with there, you can then look around a little bit, and there's a way you can search on the jobs available. Now, I have been told that we have frozen hiring for non-critical jobs, but you can still find, I think, like 200 jobs out there. And a lot of them are IT, and a lot of the IT jobs are, technical. A lot of them are like the softer skill stuff. They just started some new organization for I guess, helping to design the vehicles. So they're looking for people who can help understand what the customers want. And that's, people who do like interviewing and also the whole scam of doing statistical analysis and that type of thing. So we're looking for people who are interested in helping to understand the customer better. So again, it's Ford.com. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Are there any other jobs that are looking for people? I'm going to do a countdown from 5.
Oh, so I am eating beans, so there is an advantage to not being in the same room.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else for jobs looking for people? I thought I saw a hand go up. Can you re-raise your hand if you'd like?
That was probably me. Sorry about that, Craig. I'm Jeff Marcy from Alter Engineering. We have an IT architect role that's open, and we are not frozen. We're actually doing some cool stuff. That's available on our website, alter.com, and you're also welcome to email me, jeff@alter.com, if you are interested or know somebody who would be. So thanks for the opportunity and great work you're all doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else for jobs looking for people? Yes, Villagister. I'm seeing someone flashing me. All right. Okay, what just happened there? Okay. Yeah, we're not doing that. All right.
Oh, that was getting deep.
Yeah, it was. Okay. Moving on then. People looking for jobs. Are there any people looking for jobs? And once again, reminder that we are streaming this. So if your boss might be watching, this may be an opportunity to let them know that you're looking. All right. If you're looking for a job, by all means, please ping us on the Discuss mailing list. You can find that over at mug.org/contact. I think it's contact or contacts. It's under the Contact Us page. I don't remember the exact link. We do have comment cards. They're not the usual spiffy comment cards. I did actually go on to Google Forms so we can do a comment card that way. Sadly, we don't have any giveaways to go, so the onus for people doing a comment card is a little bit lower. But usually what we have is something along the lines of, based on our needs, the topic was very relevant, awesome, presentation, awesome, learning something new, awesome, comments, and also ideas for future topics. We do read these and we do post them online, and we do have Jim usually looking around for folks to come and present with us. Topics in the works for future meetings. We do have Marcel Gagne, who's agreed to present to us about virtual reality. That will be in May. We haven't gone that too far out, sadly, because we're trying to figure out what June is going to look like. We do have Michael Lucas on deck talking about SNMP in the very near future. So that'll be an interesting presentation, but he likes to do those in person. So it may take a little while for us to get him to do that particular presentation. So head to the website and we'll keep you updated as we know more information. I'd like to thank our sponsors. Our sponsors are Averis, Penguicon, Altair, and A2 Hosting. They've all contributed to make this meeting possible. We'd also like to thank our media partners, No Starch Press, Inform IT/Pearson, and Manning. If you head over to our website on the sponsors tab, you can find great discounts on all sorts of things. I know a lot of these online publishers are doing some really awesome, coupons, but you can also save yourself a little bit more so you can get yourself some really neat reading material and such as we are sequestering ourselves away. You can also stay connected with us through various other means. One way is, again, to visit our lovely website. If you can tell me what's different about the website from the last time that the website was up, you get a special prize at some point when I can think of what that prize is. So, yeah, definitely there's something to be said for noticing that. The website.
So is it the links that you have out there? The links to the streaming?
What do you mean?
So when you go out to the website and it's like the first page, it says link to the meeting. And then there's a Jitsi link out there.
Jitsi, yes.
And then there's a one up there above at the top says can't make the meeting, watch our live meeting stream. Now,
yes.
Just a point of interest, I got confused. I clicked on the watch our live meeting stream thinking that was the way to get to the meeting, and it got me to the live stream, but you couldn't control anything. Didn't have any of the Jitsi controls. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically, yeah, we're very open. We're very open for how people consume our content. We are content producers, and you can either participate directly in the meeting, or if you prefer to be a little more quiet and a little more chatty via text chat, we're open to that as well. So yeah, if you head over to our website, you can find all the upcoming meetings and such. And you can also find the topics Trello board, which is all the topics that we have that are in the works. You can suggest a topic for us to present, and you can also vote on them. So if you have a Trello account, you can click on the little thumbs up button over here and say, yes, I would like to learn more about this particular topic. The ones that float up to the top are the ones that we try to get more details about and try and get some speakers for. We also have speakers that have asked to present to us, so you can vote on those as well. And we also have the ones that are scheduled, and also ones that are looking for speakers as well. There's some topics that are really hot, and we try and get speakers for those. So if you happen to know anyone who's a speaker, let us know, and that would be amazing. Because again, every meeting we have to come up with something for a topic, and the more help we have from you, the better we are. You can also connect with us via our announced mailing list. This is a very low traffic mailing list that'll tell you about all the details for the upcoming meeting. You can subscribe to our Discuss mailing list. It's slightly less low traffic. That'll allow you to post to the meeting or about various topics related to open source software and such. You can watch all of our videos. We try and record our videos and post them up onto YouTube where we can. You can join our Get Together and our Meetup group to find out more information about what's upcoming. And you can follow all the rest of our social media over at mug.org/contact-us. There's other groups in the area as well. Let's ask if who's out. It really sounds great when you actually had this all prepared and ready to go. Is there anything happening over at the MD Lug? Gabe, would you like to speak about that? Or are you busy with the beans?
No, I'd love to talk about MD Lug. So we had our first online meeting this past week. And so I saw that Carl was on here too, which is kind of unusual. So Carl, introduced us to this tool for getting online. And so we had a couple additional people that we'd never seen before. So it's like, successful, I'd say. So MD Lug now is, active, and we have people meeting once a month online, much like Mug does. And so you can find that in the mug.org site. Go to groups, and down there it says Metro Detroit Linux User Group. And so our website is mdlug.org.
Awesome. Anyone from Sumco would like to tell us about what's upcoming for Sumco?
Yeah, hi, this is Sharon here. So in the month of April, we actually did not plan to have a meeting because it falls on Easter. So our next meeting is planned to be online in May. We normally meet at Lawrence Tech, but again, due to the current crisis, it has been pushed out. So we're right now evaluating different online meeting tools, including this one, Jitsi, for our future meetings. We do have two topics. One is on VPNs, and the other is, again, very similar to this one, remote desktop, open source tools that are out there. So look for us on semco.org for future meeting announcements. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to post the evaluation form to the chat. I'm also going to post it to the to YouTube as well. So if you'd like to, and I hope that link works. If it doesn't, let me know, because I am also learning how Google Forms work in this wonderful environment. So let me know how everything goes with that. EMPUG, I think, is also doing something this weekend, correct, Justin?
Yeah, thanks. We are getting together. Last time we met, we were using Google Meet, but hopefully if Jitsi seems like it might work out for us, we might use that as well.
Sweet. Excellent. Are there any other groups that are in the area that I'm missing that would like to announce their online meetings? Okay.
And that link you put in did work. So
it did work.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. One of the places to find out more information about places is GetTogether.community. I know one of the things that's happening is Coffee House Coders that will be happening tomorrow. There's also an Ann Arbor Retro Tech meeting, which looks like a lot of fun. I know there's a lot of stuff that's happening over on Meetup, and Meetup just recently got sold, so more to come on that. The bathrooms are probably down the hall in your own house. The refreshments are probably in the refrigerator. Is there any other business that I'm missing?
Yeah, I just want to point out this is like the first time I haven't brought refreshments in a long, long time. Sorry about that.
No worries. We've got a large meeting here, so it'll be a lot to share. And the postage would probably kill us from Texas. Anywho, once again, I'd like to let everyone know to please mute yourselves and mute your cell phones as much as you are willing and or able. And with that, I'd like to open up the conversation to talking about Jitsi. So I'm going to do a quick little presentation about some of the remote technologies that we're using. And the first one is obviously the one that we're using right now, which is Jitsi. So I'll do a quick presentation about that. And then we can open it up to other technologies that folks are using and such in order to keep connected with everyone else. So let me do this presentation real quick. And boom. There we go. So hi, I'm Craig Maloney, and I'll be talking a little bit about Jitsi. By the way, you're soaking in it. So I know a lot of folks have been finding themselves working online through various means. And there's a lot of different ways that folks have been keeping in contact with each other online. And I know it's been kind of a challenge for folks to keep in contact. I know a lot of folks have been on Zoom meetings. And it seems like all of the various meetings and technology that's out there is a lot of it is proprietary and such. And so I'm hoping to have the opportunity to tell you a little about some of the other technologies that are out there. I mean, some of this stuff is pretty primitive. A lot of it feels, like you're using cans and string and such. And of course, some of us, probably even John Lawden himself, are busily trying to make sure that all the strings and cans are working the way that they should be working. So thank you, everyone who is making sure that the cables and wires are working as they should. So the product that I'd like to talk about is Jitsi. You can learn more at Jitsi.org. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of Jitsi because there's a little bit of confusion as to what Jitsi is. It started off as SIP Communicator in 2003. It was actually, I think, a research project. It became BlueGimp in 2009. And then they added the video bridge and WebRTC in 2013. And that's where Jitsi Meet started coming about. In 2015, it was acquired by Atlassian. And the desktop client, which is the SIP Communicator client, was renamed as Jitsi Desktop. That no longer has any development on it anymore, or at least it's not as much development because SIP became a lot less interesting for these folks. And then in 2018, it was acquired by 8x8, which does SIP as well. So you'll notice on a lot of the Jitsi conferences, they'll have information about how you can communicate via SIP and dial in. That's one of the businesses that 8x8 is in SIP connectivity. And in fact, if you go over to a meet.jitsi meeting, it'll probably give you a link to say, hey, by the way, you can also check out 8x8's other products as well. So what makes up Jitsi? You have Jitsi Meet, which you're using right now. That's the JavaScript and WebRTC front end. There's Jitsi Video Bridge. And I oversimplified this a bit. There's actually a component called Prosody. It's, I think, how you pronounce it, which is the actual XMPP server, which handles the actual communications. But Jitsi Video Bridge is the back-end piece that manages the thousands, if you're actually spelling it right, of video streams from one server. Gbri is the streaming and recording piece. And it's part of the reason that I'm using OBS down in the basement, because Gbri is a component that hooks up a Chrome instance to your video bridge. So it acts as another participant, and it handles all of the recording and the streaming bits. So if you try and stream on a Jitsi meeting right now, especially on Meet.Jitsi, it'll come back and say, you can't do that because I don't have any more Gbri servers that are out there. So when it mentions that, that's one of the reasons that you're having that problem. There's Jikofo, which is the Jitsi conference focus, which handles the media sessions between participants. I think that's responsible for the screen sharing as well. And then Jigasi, which is the Jitsi gateway SIP, and that is for handling SIP for the phone clients. So that'll allow people to dial into your meeting. And all of these things can be set up as part of your Jitsi instance. So what we're using at the moment is we're using Jitsi Meet for the front-end interface. We're using Jitsi Video Bridge as a way for all of us to receive the same video stream and audio as well. We're using Gbri, or at least we should be using Gbri, but we're not. We're using OBS, and that would do the streaming to YouTube. Jikofo, which is the sending of the slides to everyone, and Jigasi in case someone dialed in using a plain old telephone. So how it works. In one-to-one communication, Jitsi will use, so one-to-one being myself and another participant. What it will do is it will use the video bridge to control the connection, and it will create a peer-to-peer mode. And it'll encrypt the traffic between myself and the other participant using DTLS SRTP for both of us. So in that case, it is encrypted. The video bridge does not necessarily have to have all that information. And it gets a little tricky here because you can negotiate the peer-to-peer communication, but it will also fall back to the video bridge. If it falls back to the video bridge, it's not encrypted anymore at the video bridge. The video bridge does some muxing and that so that it could send all of that to the rest of the other participants. So in peer-to-peer mode, it is encrypted, and the video bridge does not have the encrypted stream that goes across. And it would be a lot more helpful if I actually showed you the video or the diagram that I have here. So you have on the one end Chrome, Firefox, both communicating with each other. And the video bridge here is just handling the connection as far as making, whenever one of them participants drops off, or if there's chat or something else, that all gets handled by the video bridge. The video and audio streams are being sent directly to each other via that connection. For multiple participants, it gets a little more complicated. The audio and video is still encrypted using DTLS SRTP, but it's decrypted on the video bridge and then muxed together with all the rest of the other traffic that's coming in and out of the system and rebroadcast. It's not stored in persistent storage unless you're recording it. It's only stored in memory. And the trade-off is that you have better CPU and bandwidth usage using the selective forwarding unit. So it only sends what it has to send, whereas with encryption, it would then have to send all that traffic out, and basically, so it would start scaling up quadratically for the number of people that are out there. And so that would look a little like this, where if I have multiple participants, it all uses the video bridge, and the video bridge then it gets scaled up or scales up the amount of CPU that it uses depending on the number of participants. So you can track the status of your connection by hovering over your local GSM bars. So you'll notice if you hover over your name, you'll see some either green, yellow, or red bars, and it'll tell you the status of your connection. It'll also tell you the bit rate that you're using, the frame rate, and the servers that you're using as well. And it'll tell you which one you're connected to. So in my case, it's connected to US East 1. It'll tell me the port and all this other kind of stuff. If I was doing a peer-to-peer connection, it'll then say, if I'm using the peer-to-peer connectivity or not. And you can learn more about this over at the link, jitsi.org/news/security. They have a really good documentation about the security model that they're using. I'm going to talk very briefly about Jitsi. I know I promised everyone that I would do an install of Jitsi, but it's a little complex, and doing it on the fly would probably take up a lot more time. So I'm just going to go over some of the steps and some of the things that I learned. The first thing that you should do, and they don't really mention this in a lot of the quick starts, is you need to install your web server first. It needs to be present in order to set things up properly. And what it will do is it will set up things like certificates and all the other wonderful stuff. If you don't have it there, it makes it a little more complicated to get set up. So definitely install the web server first. You'll need to add the key for the repository. And I'm assuming that you're using Ubuntu in this case. They have instructions for other machines as well. But I'm using Ubuntu over here, and so I'm just going to go over real briefly what the Ubuntu instructions are. So you grab the signing key from them and add it to apt. Create the sources list. So you echo this line into your sources list for apt. Update the packages, and then install Jitsi Meet. And what Jitsi Meet will do is it will install a lot of the packages that you need. So it'll, I believe it will install stuff like Jibri, it'll install Jacofo, and all the rest of these things. And just as an aside, one of the problems with Jitsi is that it uses a lot of its own lingo for this stuff. So they'll talk about things like prosody and Jacofo and Jibri and all this stuff. And so you'll have to, you may want to make yourself a little scorecard or a program to say, okay, what does this particular thing mean? Because you'll need to know that at each step of the way. And they have a lot of these details over here on in their documentation for a quick install. And what a quick install will get you, let me create a separate tab here. All right. What the quick install will get you is something like this. So you'll get the front end piece, which will busily sit here and just rattle off a whole bunch of different meetings. They're like phrases, basically. There are a whole bunch of different phrases. And part of the way that Jitsi does security is that each of these phrases is randomly generated. They're not easily guessable, as opposed to Zoom, which has, I believe it's 11 digits that it generates randomly for each of the meetings, and they're slightly guessable. I know that Zoom has a whole bunch of clients that are out there that are busily scouring for these various meetings. But this is what I have installed on my machine. And this will, I'll get to a little bit of that in a second. All right, back to the slides. One thing to note with your install, you'll need to open ports 80, 443, and 10,000 on your server. The first two should be slightly obvious. You're going to need HTTP and HTTPS on your machine. And port 10,000 is the port that I believe that's the control port for the video bridge. Jitsi uses prosody for the XMPP communications, and it'll create the necessary users for usage. You'll also, if you install something like Jibri or any of these other things, you'll also be using the prosody control. Prosody CTL is the program for registering the various users that it will need in order to create the recording and streaming users. And you should also have Let's Encrypt installed. And I highly recommend, your natural inclination is to just have it Let's Encrypt do its own thing. Use this script, even though it's Python 2.7, or at least when I installed it, it was Python 2.7, because it does all the right things for you as far as installation. If you try and do it without this script, you're going to have a bad time. This script will install everything in the right spots. It'll put things where they need to go as far as prosody and all the rest of this stuff. So highly recommend using the script for it. Jitsi has a way of authentication and doing authentication on a system. So with a system like Meet.Jitsi, you have you don't have a single moderating user. All the users have moderating capabilities. Please do not demonstrate this right now. But yes, every user has moderating capabilities. So what you can do is you can set up an authenticated user that will have super user capabilities, or at least moderation capabilities on there. So with Jacofo, you can set up a secure domain, and it'll use the authentication domain internal plane by default in an anonymous user domain. Anonymous users can still click on external links with the setup, so you don't necessarily have to have an account. It's just you won't have moderation privileges. And I will demonstrate very quickly how that will work. Give me 1 second here, please. Are there any questions, by the way?
I just wanted to mention that Carl and I used this with the MD Lug group, and we had some young kids of some type that just came in and tried to take over the meeting, and they were real disruptive. And so Carl was setting the password, and it got to the point where these youngsters were kicking us off and trying to change the password on us and stuff like that. So you have to be careful, I guess, is the short answer. The longer answer is come up with a plan if somebody starts to mess with you, what you're going to do about changing the password. And so we settled on having like an off-band way of communicating, the changed password and stuff.
Yeah. All right. So let me, sorry. Of course, trying to do this all. All right, I'm going to show. Shoot. All right. I have to set up a different setup here. Unfortunately, I'm already signed on to this particular one. So it's, there we go. All right. Okay. Let me share one screen here. So this is coming back and saying, waiting for the host. And until the host shows up, I will not be able to join this particular meeting. So there's no communication that's going out. If I look on here, I can't even look on here. It's not even gonna let me do that. So let me say I am the host. And all right, boom. I am the host now. So it says that moderator rights are such, and I'm the moderator of this particular meeting now. Okay. And one other thing that I can show you too is that there is the ability to use mobile client as well for Jitsi. Let me show how that works and how that might look. So I'll head over here. All right. Okay. So there's, someone on mobile, busily talking and such. All right. That was a silly joke. All right. Back to the slides. So there are ways to scale Jitsi as well. If you want to scale up Jitsi and have multiple instances. One way you can do that is by having a floating IP in front and then putting HA proxy in front of multiple Jitsi Meet instances to figure out, because Jitsi uses the same UUID for each one of these meetings, it can be spread across multiple different instances as well. And there's a whole video on how to scale it. I think one of the problems that people run into with Jitsi is that they don't necessarily scale it as much. And so you can really crush a small instance. And thank you. One question, is it possible to say the entire chat session just before this Jitsi meeting ends, or the Jitsi meeting ends? I don't know offhand. The problem is once a Jitsi meeting ends, everything about that meeting is purged. So you would have to save all of that stuff separately. And I don't know if there's a way to save it offhand. If someone else can answer that in the chat, that would be awesome. Righty. So what have I learned with Jitsi? It's very light on a well-powered server, but on your client, it can require a lot of CPU on the client. So you may want to, I know I do a conference call with my brother-in-law using Jitsi, and he's got a Windows Surface tablet, and it can crush that Windows Surface tablet if he starts bringing up something else. So if you're not doing a whole lot else on your machine and a lot of CPU intensive stuff on your machine, it can really it's going to take up all the available bandwidth on your CPU. When you scale it, does each meeting occur on one Jitsi Meet server, or are those meetings themselves somehow sharded? I'm not entirely sure on that, how to answer that, unfortunately. I think they are sharded. That video explains a lot more about it. I didn't really go too far in depth on that. So that's something to check out, definitely, if you're going to install your own version of Jitsi. So one-to-one communication is really light on the server. I did several minutes of discussion with my brother-in-law on my own server, and the bandwidth that was being used was a trickle because a lot of it was being done via peer-to-peer. Even with a simple link, it can be slightly confusing for folks. And I know when a lot of you joined, you probably are like, how do I get this thing to work? Because your browser starts bringing up a whole bunch of things up there like, hey, I'm blocking your camera. Hey, you need to enable your audio. Hey, here's all this other stuff that's going on. And if you have relatives that start freaking out at the very notion of things showing up unexpectedly, it can throw them for a bit of a loop. So you may want to be a little gentle with folks when they're coming online to guide them through all of this stuff and tell them to be prepared for this stuff. Documentation, again, is great once you know the terminology for each of the components. And a lot of the support happens in a forum. So they have a whole forum where people will post stuff. And the right answer can be occluded from you if you don't have the right terminology. So having the right terminology for this stuff is really helpful. Again, make yourself flashcards or something. So what I didn't cover is using Jitsi with SIP. I don't have any SIP devices, unfortunately, and I don't have any SIP services, so I haven't really played around too much with SIP. The recording and streaming, I did spend till about 2 o'clock last night trying to figure out how to get that to work and not have to run OBS for streaming. And I didn't get very far with it, sadly. Part of the problem was, unfortunately, was Jibri and the way that it was setting up a Chrome session. Like I said, with Jibri, it sets up a Chrome session that is a participant on your machine. And it wasn't working for me, sadly. I didn't cover more complex authentication like LDAP. LDAP is its own reward. I'm sure you could probably set up a conference system with Jitsi for a company. So that might be something to check out at some point. And how to customize and rebrand the interface. I'm sure there's a way to do that. I'm just not aware of how to do that offhand. So, oh, breaking news. Sorry, breaking news. Breaking news. There is end-to-end encryption being planned for Jitsi. So if you head onto this link, jitsi.org/news/E2EE, they are working on a way to do end-to-end encryption, even at the video bridge level. So what that would look like for folks is if you went over to an encrypted link, you wouldn't be able to see anything else that was going on. You'd still know that something was going on. You'd still know that there were X number of participants, but everything that was going on would not show up. It's just noise to them. But if you have the key, and you'll see up here where it's got the key, key equals foo, now you can see everyone that's on there. So they're definitely competing against Zoom in this arena and trying to get things to work a lot better for folks. So more to come. Hopefully good news coming down the line for folks. Are there any questions about this? Because I'm pretty much out of presentation. Yes. Carl.
Yes. I thought I'd just mention the one nice thing about using the little app, the Android app on a cell phone, is that if you choose to, you can reverse the camera.
Yeah.
And I found that to be very helpful. Sometimes I want to show people pictures of my dog that's barking, or there's been a couple other times when I've helped people remotely that I had a friend that couldn't figure out how to wire her TV correctly. So I told her, well, hey, just connect to Jitsi, reverse the camera, and then show me what you're looking at. And it just made it amazingly easier to do that. So that is just one of the really cool features about this, is that if you do use it on an app, like with a tablet or a cell phone, using that reverse camera can be a good thing.
Very cool.
Carl, when you say reverse the camera, are you talking about use the back camera instead of the front camera?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
What it is, that's in the 3-dot menu of the application. And of course, you don't see it on the website version because it's not part of the web client. It's only part of the app client. Mm-hmm.
Ryan, you had your hand up.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering, you mentioned a few minutes ago, I think, about the possibility of, like saving resources from a meeting.
Yes.
Is it possible? Like, can you save like the chat history and things like that from a meeting on Jitsi?
I know. Well, as far as recording in that, the recording is basically whatever is that Chrome instance is doing, being shoved out and being processed via FFmpeg. As far as the chat, I don't know offhand. And I thought somebody mentioned that there was a way, and I think it's a you could send a query over to get the local chat history. I'm not entirely sure. I do have the power of the internet now. Let me see if that save chat. Yeah, I don't know if it will save. Let's put it this way. It's a frequently asked question. So there are details on how to save the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
No problem. Any other questions?
I was just playing with Blur My Background beta, and that seems to work.
It does work. I have found that it gives me a much more holy look than I am used to. So I don't tend to use it very often.
It's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not quite the Zoom backgrounds.
Yeah.
We'll give Zoom that. They do have some nice backgrounds, but okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone. So one thing, so what are other folks using for their remote work nowadays?
We're using Google Hangouts, or I guess it's called Google Meet now.
Yeah.
And we've been using that for years, and that's always served us well.
Yeah, I know I've been using Zoom a lot. I've been using, like I said, I was using Skype as well. But that's mostly just for presentations and that, and of course WebEx, good old WebEx.
Yeah.
I've been actually using Slack for one-on-one calls. I'm not sure. I haven't tried to do a group call in Slack.
Right.
So
I'm a student, but sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm a student, but we're using Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom seems to be really popular with a lot of the schools. I think
my family, we've been using FaceTime, and it scales quite well. I've got one son and his family. He's over in the UK, and he comes in just clear as a bell, along with his daughters and his wife. I have another one that's in Massachusetts, and for long distance communications, it's just great for getting the family together. But that's FaceTime, and unfortunately, it's an Apple thing. But fortunately, our family somehow has turned out everyone was Apple. I finally switched to Apple a couple of years ago because I was out in the left field with the family.
Yeah.
And Discord does have amazing voice chat. That's what I use, like with friends and stuff, and it's really good.
Yeah, I've not used Discord's chat like that. I've only used it for text chat. I know a lot of folks have been spinning up Slack like crazy as well.
So I used a thing called Big Blue Button about 5 years ago, open source.
Right.
Really easy to load up on your server. So I had a couple of servers that I took over to PenguinCon. Those of you who are not local to Detroit may not know about PenguinCon. It's a fairly good size convention here in the area.
And online as well.
Yeah, so they're going to have an online thing this year. So Big Blue Button was, a really nice thing. And what I liked about it is you could set up separate rooms for different purposes and things like that. It's basically set up for like educational purposes or students in different rooms with, teachers teaching different topics and stuff. So I think kind of an interesting use case for like a PenguinCon with a lot of convention space and stuff. I did find that at one point it wasn't being supported and stuff, so I dropped it, but it looks like it's being picked up again. So Big Blue Button. I'd also want to mention my wife was using this thing for a long while called Pal Talk. Pal Talk was like, a lot of people all over the country using it. I don't know anything about it, but I know she found it to be real easy to use.
Very cool. Anybody else using remote chat type stuff?
I also know about Zulip. It's basic. I also know about Zulip.
Zulip, okay.
Yes, it's basically Slack, but it has like sub channels, and the point of it is to keep all chats on topic. So if you want to talk about one thing relevant to the channel, you just like make a new sub channel.
Okay. Sharon.
Yes, I would like to know from all the attendees what's their opinion about WebEx, because that seems to be quite pervasive and available in many places. And the reason I ask is in the enterprise, we can't always use open source tools for a variety of reasons, but WebEx seems to be acceptable. So what's your experience with using WebEx? And what are the pros and cons that you might wish to share?
One thing that I've noticed with WebEx is that it seems to be very good for presentations, not so much for conference communicating back and forth with each other, but it could just be the use cases that I've seen it used.
Well, so I've used WebEx at work every day. I have several meetings a day, and it does basically the basics really well. If you want to share some screens and have some presentation material, there's a lot of other tools out there, of course, and so we've got other tools that we use in addition to that to do like whiteboards and things like that, sharing out documents and things. But if you just want to see a few faces and talk through some slides, it's really easy to get going and use it once someone else. And I don't know how it is to administer it or keep it going. It's just a corporate level thing that we have. So everybody at where I work uses it.
Carlos?
Bear with the kids in the background, sorry, but
no worries.
We use WebEx at work a decent amount, and it's pretty good. I've seen it work really well, like you said, for presentations when you're on a phone and you're presenting, or you need to call in and you don't have good audio on a phone or something like that. I see the benefit there. Like you noticed, though, a lot of people are tending to move towards Zoom. A lot of the upper management seems to like Zoom now. It just works. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things with things like Jitsi and with Zoom is that you can basically give someone a link and be pretty well assured that they're going to be able to do something with that and something useful.
Yeah, I'm really starting to like Jitsi. This is the second time I've seen it, and it looks like it works really well, honestly.
Well, at my work, we have it integrated with all kinds of other stuff. So for our email and for our calendaring. And so basically you send someone an email with a link and it has all the calendaring stuff. And it just, you can add the meeting with your calendar software. So you were using the Microsoft One, what was it? So anyway, we're using the Microsoft tooling, right? So they had that all integrated together, and it's pretty seamless to just click a button to add the meeting notice information, and it gives you the phone numbers and all that type of thing.
Very cool. Any other tools that folks are using? Tooling of sorts? Dave, go ahead and speak.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm not hearing a Dave speak. I think you have to unmute yourself, Dave. All right.
It looks like Gemini is trying to talk.
I'm hearing Gemini.
Okay.
I am too.
I'm not. That's weird.
It just looks like Dave's raising his hand. I see Gemini raising his hand now, too. Though.
Yeah.
I'm hearing Gemini as well.
Gemini's been talking.
That's weird.
Yeah, I've heard nothing from him for a while.
Okay. You may want to try and reconnect. I'm not sure what's going on. I know I'm seeing your connection as poor. So
yeah,
try reconnecting and see how that works.
I see Dave's is non-optimal.
Yeah.
Well, this bit rate's pretty good.
There he goes. Dave, okay. Trying to think. And how have everyone been handling this? That's a good question to ask.
No.
No? Okay. All right.
I've been honestly staying home before the thing happened.
Yeah.
No, it's just that you're not voluntarily staying at home, just pressurized.
Yeah. Well, I know I work from home anyway, so the change isn't that drastic for me. But I know for some folks, it's been interesting.
Well, so my work went on to a mandatory vacation, so we were forced to take some time off. So I jumped on a plane and flew down to my other house down in Texas. And then once I got down here, they shut everything down. They said, don't leave the house and all that type of thing. And there were even like rumors that they were putting $100,000 fines on people for being out. So I've had to delay my flight back. So it's pretty dramatic change here for me. Working from the house down here that I've never really worked out of before. So it's kind of fun, actually. Something different.
Excellent.
I can speak from like a hardware standpoint. When all this stuff happened, we ended up deploying a lot more equipment. We had to get like 8,000 employees home and all that stuff. It got real crazy real quick.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I've got a lot of equipment that I can't get to. They basically locked down the building. They changed the door codes on the lab I work in, so I'm not even able to get to my equipment.
Yeah, just today I lost badge access temporarily, and I had to have like a director above to give me access again so I could get in. They had computers off that I've been turning on because people are shutting them off and everything like that, and then they're constantly putting out stuff because people's stuff is breaking in the field. So it's just a continual cycle, nonstop. You don't get a minute to yourself when you're there. You're basically on the phone the whole time.
So do a lot of people have remote desktop running as well for their desktop machines, like Windows machines and such?
I've run into hybrid environments now. We have remote desktop for a lot of the users in the office. But when it comes to the branch and the call center areas, it's more virtual machines using Citrix VDIs.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so we had a big controversy where everybody was using the VPN and it was getting slammed, and so they
can imagine.
Don't do it that way. Come in through, we have the Office suite from Microsoft and the Office 360. So that makes it a lot easier for people to just get to their documents and stuff. So we're being, we had like the CEO comes on and he has 20,000 people watching his video. And so, just slows down and drops out and stuff like that. So it's been kind of a training thing to try to get everybody to use the non-VPN way to get in. And I ran into a problem where I didn't have the key information, which you have to set up while you're physically in the office.
Yep.
Go physically into the office. So it became one of these chicken and egg problems. I had to finally call the help desk. Well, it's things we never like to do.
Yeah, exactly. Dave, go ahead and speak. Dave is having trouble. Carl, go ahead.
Yes, you were mentioning the use of remote desktop. And what I've done for several of the sites that I support is basically set up one server at the location that will develop an SSH tunnel to one of my servers. And then basically I can use SSH to make a secured RDP connection directly to a computer inside the LAN of the organization. And that works really well.
Excellent.
Yeah, we had a lot of people using remote desktop to computers in the inside of the company, and then they'd have problems where the system wasn't, running or something, and we had to set up something where people would be running around the building restarting computers.
J-Tech Hat.
One thing I would mention is that Microsoft has a new solution, Windows Autopilot. And it's basically, have you ever set up Windows? Then you have if you want to log in with your personal connection, battery is running out, or with your business connection. And the autopilot thing is basically you log in with your LDAP or something credentials, and your computer gets set up. Like everything gets downloaded. Your desktop files get downloaded. Your programs get downloaded. It's like a roaming desktop, but it's actually made easy to set up. So you basically just have Azure going with your, like you set up Azure, and it isn't even complicated. Pretty much anyone can do it. So it's enabling people to go to the stores or order from online their devices instead of IT sending them out, eliminating IT from the on-site offices.
That's really cool.
So I'm just like pointing Autopilot out, and it's like if you already have Office in your organization, looking into it. If you don't already have like a legacy solution, what pretty much does it, might be quite useful. And there's a link in the chat.
Very cool. Thank you. I know there was a concept of hoteling that Sun had as well, where you basically like they had the old Sunblade, or not Sunblade. What the heck were they? They were these little machines. They were like little X terminals and whatnot. You just threw in a little card, and it would bring your desktop to you. But it was, I think, it was doing X Windows type stuff between various machines. So it's interesting that Microsoft is adopting something similar.
Yeah, we had those Sunblades at Western, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just tunneling X Windows over SSH. So
right. Dave, you've had your hand up a couple times. Are you looking to speak at all, Dave?
Earth to Dave.
Yeah.
That's the other aspect not mentioned is the awkwardness of video conferencing and talking to a camera. You're looking at the camera. You don't know if people actually hear you or not, or if you're projecting yourself the right way and everything like that.
Exactly.
It's kind of weird for people that aren't used to that kind of stuff.
No, I've experienced a lot of that where I was on one panel discussion, and it was on Zoom, and I was trying to, I had it muted and I had it full screen, and they called on me. And so I was trying to unmute myself, and I managed to get my Linux machine in such a weird state that I couldn't actually unmute myself, and I froze everything up. And I'm like, oh, this is horrible, you know? So.
And everyone at the same time are seeing you how you're struggling
Oh,
quietly.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, it's horrible. Gemini, you had your hand up.
Yeah, can you hear me now better?
Hear you, yes.
Can
Awesome. Wanted to find out, is this Jitsi that we are using right now, is this self-hosted? Is this the one that you created?
No, this
is not. This is the main instance that they have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you were, in your demo, you were showing that we can host our own or create our own.
That's correct.
Server.
Yeah.
Got it. And then there was someone that was talking about kind of like, was that like a virtual desktop on Azure, I think he was talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, so Amazon, is that you?
I was talking about Autopilot.
Autopilot, yes.
Autopilot. And is that a virtual desktop?
No, it's not a virtual desktop. It's basically highly configured local machine. Like if you have ever heard of like roaming desktops, it's like in places where you have like company computers, you have 10 of them. Any user could log on, and their stuff will just get downloaded. And Autopilot is just streamlining the way you're setting it up. Instead of setting it up in weeks, you're just following like one guide, and you'll be done in a day. And basically, when you're setting up the like laptop or desktop or whatever the employee has, they'll just log in with their email and password, wait 10 minutes, and they just have their work machine.
Got it. Virtual desktops these days too are starting to become popular.
Yeah.
And Amazon has what they call workspaces. It's a virtual desktop that you can just access.
Very cool. Tony, you had your hand up. Tony, you are muted or something. I've been seeing your lips move, but nothing is coming out. I'm still not hearing you.
His symbol looks unmuted too.
Yeah, I know. Oh no, now you're on mute again. All right. That's okay. Shayna. Hi.
Hey, so yeah, so for me, I'm definitely missing some equipment I need because I did research in VR during the school year, and now that I'm stuck away from my dorm and everything, that is a bit hard.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, I definitely struggle with the whole, how do you tell when someone's about to speak? I've accidentally spoken over people a bunch of times. I'm not good at this. Wish I was back on campus.
We're good at this, honestly. But yeah, actually, what will be interesting, next month we'll have Marcel Gagne talking about VR stuff, especially Mozilla's offering. So that might be interesting to come and see. Because I know he did a podcast with his host in VR and shared the results of that online. So
yeah, he and I, when I talked to him last a couple of days ago, that's how we talked using Mozilla Hubs, and it was first time for me. It was quite interesting.
Yeah,
that's what he's going to be showing off on what is it, May 12th?
Yeah,
May 12th, I think, is the meeting.
So far away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, it's just to make me sad because what I have at home is not VR capable at all, and I miss
I understand
everything.
You can get cardboard.
I mean, I have cardboard. It's not good.
Yeah,
I know.
Sharon, you had your hand up. We caught him on surprise. I think we'd be able to do that very well. Sharon. Okay. Let us know when you come back, Sharon. JTAG Cat.
One thing I'll mention about like RDPing and stuff. There's now also stuff like GeForce Now that basically just they have loads of graphics cards, and they just bought the data center, and now you can pay like $5 a month, and you basically have a virtual desktop that replaces your normal gaming desktop. And there's actually services that do the same thing, but you can also run your own applications, such as Adobe applications.
Very cool. Tony, you had a question before. Did you want to say anything?
Is it working now? Can you guys hear me?
Now. Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
It's basic.
All right. Well, I work at NetScout and doing cloud work. And we have a lot of customers that all their employees are going to work work at home, like we're talking here, and using their VPNs.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been getting all sorts of alerts of higher traffic and higher bandwidth usage. So it's just an interesting management back end of the increasing use of work at home and then VPNs.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of. I think people are starting to realize a bit that we're not ready for this. We're not ready for this kind of level of. I mean, work at home used to be like that's the 20% or so that are privileged or whatnot to work from home, maybe, and we're not, we won't have to scale any of this up. And when you have 100% of your workforce or whatnot suddenly trying to log in at the same time, it's like, holy crap. Dave, you have your hand up. You've had your hand up several times now.
Maybe his arms are tired now.
It must be. Oh, goodness. Sharon, are you back? I'm not seeing. Gib, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so you're talking about not being ready, and some people have it better than others. So I was the second house in Dearborn to have fiber from AT&T to the house. And so I'm like 4 miles from the campus. So I think it's probably fiber all the way. So I've got this fantastic connection into the network and, just really good response and all that stuff. And then I come down here to this other house, and we're out in the sort of like the small town type of thing. And, we barely can get like connections with our cell phones and all that. So it's very different from different perspectives. And I don't know, how many people are now finding that maybe they want to have a better network connection, but I suspect this might, prompt some changes in the way that people prioritize their bandwidth.
Exactly. Justin, you have your hand up. We haven't heard from you in a bit.
Oh, hey, yeah. We're thinking about remote technologies. I mean, I know I've got a technician who has to use RDP over VPN, and that's not great. But luckily, I just get to use this as a doesn't matter where I am. There is an interesting technology that's like kind of an interesting hybrid that's some people have heard of. It's called Cloud9.
Yes.
Yeah, so it used to be an independent open source project, but then Amazon bought it. I don't know how that really works, but it's pretty cool. It's it's like a cloud development environment, and you can install it on anything. It comes pre-installed on BeagleBones, the ARM development platform. But it's pretty cool. So you can get like an AWS instance with Cloud9 as well, and that kind of gives you this web-based IDE. And so that's kind of nice. It's a pretty good IDE and gives you a terminal right there in the browser as well. Depends on what you're looking for, I guess.
I know a lot of people are starting to rediscover the joys of Etherpad as well for collaboration. And whenever I hear of Cloud9, I automatically think of Etherpad and such. I know there's a way, I think, too, to get Jitsi to use Etherpad as well, although I didn't really investigate that.
Yeah, Etherpad's pretty cool. There's all sorts of I know that Atom and Visual Studio Code now have plugins for multiple editors. I'm not sure if they do video or audio or anything like that.
Dave, you have your hand up a lot.
How do you
Dave Setwitz, you have your hand up. Sharon, are you back yet?
Maybe they lowered their hand. I don't know. I don't know how to. Is my hand still up?
Yours is not up any longer.
Dave Setwitz, can you hear us?
He's just looking very content, and I'm not sure what's going on over there.
Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Maybe it's delayed or frozen or something.
I don't know.
You got to keep saying it now.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay.
I'm going to call him.
Okay, please do. JTagCat.
Okay. I have a question to Tony.
Okay.
When everything is rapidly scaling, what about security?
Well, there's all sorts of security everywhere. You're right, or what things you have to pay attention to and follow. So that's a really open-ended question.
But just like when you're like, we are at 150% capacity and we need to scale up. And are there any moments that someone has just compromised on security and just went, we need more performance scale now?
Well, I'll jump in so one of the main things you want to make sure of when you're doing security over a camera, right, is wear pants or don't stand up.
Yeah,
Right,
but
so
it is a serious question, though. I mean,
There was Walmart, like Walmart's sales of shirts went up, but the pants stayed the same.
I think what you have to look for is you need to have a team ready that is going to include somebody from security, somebody from infrastructure, somebody from applications or whatever, so that you all have a say in when you're scaling up. You know, if you're going to just throw it into the cloud, you know, does the cloud meet your organization's security standards, things like that? Because yeah, it can be done wrong.
Right, exactly. I know a lot of people have been asking about like HIPAA and all that other kind of stuff for various you know, ramping up of security and especially like web chats and that, as far as, you know, what's the security and what's the standards in that for it.
So I had something a little bit off from working at home, but it's Jitsi related.
Okay.
Is I found a Raspberry Pi project that uses Jitsi as the video chat. I just put it in the chat window. It looks like a really cool project. I want to do something like that. I just don't have the hardware at the moment, so
that's kind
I
of
have
cool.
to put it on order. Yeah. So I thought having your own instance in your house to run Jitsi would be awesome.
That, you know, that would be cool. I'm not sure how a Jitsi video bridge would work on a Raspberry Pi or if it would crush it. I'm not entirely sure. I'd like to think it would handle it.
Well, it uses the Jitsi client
Okay.
as, you know, on the Raspberry Pi, and then I think by default it connects out to the Jitsi cloud service like we're using right now.
Okay.
But there's configurations to be able to go in and set it for your own instance.
Gotcha. Okay. Sharon? All right.
First thing I saw when I looked at the link, it says smart doorbell. I'm thinking ring replacement.
Exactly.
Get rid of that ring stuff.
It actually looks better than Ring.
You could make it whatever you want at that point too. That's just you got to house the Raspberry Pi in the video feed, or you could do the Raspberry Pi separate. Go ahead.
That's right. So one question that showed up is kind of the human component of all of this stuff. What funny or embarrassing stories from working at home? Has anybody got something they'd like to share?
I have actually like communicated more with people because normally like I have been on location and people just don't approach you on location. But when you have a set time with video calls, you actually have a realization that you're gonna communicate there.
Right. Mr. Marasini.
Hi, everyone. I was leading a very large meeting, like 325 people were signed in. John's seen my house. A few other people have seen my house. The way my computer, my Linux machine set up, it's on the floor next to the desk. Well, one of my cats decided to jump on it. I was animated and talking and blah, blah, blah. And she was holding down the power button.
Oh,
so
no.
after 4 seconds, my machine hard powered down. Of course, while I was presenting, it was very, very, very embarrassing. So yeah, I learned. I now have a saucer plate on my computer over the power switch so that will not happen again.
Oh, goodness. That's no fun. Gib, you had something.
Yeah, so along the embarrassing thing, I mean, I don't know if it didn't embarrass me, but we had that meeting earlier for the MD lug. Carl and I were and trying to verify that this thing works and understanding it and stuff like that. And these young kids, like I said, jumped on and started. They were displaying videos and stuff, and kind of random videos. But then they started showing porn and stuff like that. So I basically told them, hey, your porn isn't any good. Get some better porn.
Was this on Jitsi or on Zoom or what?
Yeah, it was on Jitsi.
Okay. Yeah. That's one thing that you know that something is coming to the popular consciousness when your parents are asking you about things like Zoom, and having to explain what Zoom was is kind of fun, and what's going on.
Well, we did notice that it was, the video was really, presented. I mean, the content wasn't very good, but the fact that the video showed and the sound came out, and
Thank you.
Some things are really tough to
do. Anybody else got something interesting? Oh, apparently my Mycroft wants to say something. Well, very cool.
Something.
Thank you for saying something. All right. Well, it is 8 o'clock, and we don't necessarily have to talk about a whole bunch of remote stuff for the rest of the meeting. I was wondering if there's anything else that's been going on that some folks may want to talk about with other folks.
It is 3 a.m.
It is 3 a.m. Yeah, well, it's 8 a.m. over here.
So what about the elections? Are you going to talk, try to talk about that with us, or are you just going to figure that out as the officers and get back to us?
We're going to do that. You may have not have been here for that slide. We are going to do elections when we next convene in person, and unfortunately, that's going to look like June. So, more to come.
I've been talking to Dave. And
yeah,
he's got connectivity issues. I think his right now it shows his connection is lost. Weirdest thing, I was watching him on the screen, and I was talking to him on the phone, and on the screen he did not have the phone up to his head.
Yeah,
so it's like his video stream is like 10 minutes behind.
Yeah, no, that is weird.
Yeah. So
did he try refreshing? Because I had the issue that everything just went with speed, like half speed or something.
Yeah, he disconnected, reconnected. He's trying something else now.
Hopefully, don't get spammed with a bunch of audio from him 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I do.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah, you're a little faint though. You may want to get a little closer to the computer.
I don't see you though.
I see him. He's down in he's down in the corner, but that doesn't mean anything.
But it's not video of him, is it? I'm not seeing video of Dave.
No, he just has the Dave icon.
Yeah, that's all I see. But he's got good connection.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
You're a little scratchy though.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
So now I don't know what it was.
Okay.
Hang on, Jim.
Okay.
Are you connecting via phone? I'm going to mute you now. All right. Hopefully things will get sorted. All right.
Okay.
Oh, I got.
Yeah, I've changed so many things so that now I don't know what it was.
Okay.
I'm gonna hang on.
Volume's pretty loud there.
I don't know what's going on, but it is coming through very, very, yeah. Anyway.
Very weird.
Yes. So what else is going on with folks? I mean,
So
yes,
I recently learned that running Pac-Man SYU and then not doing the update afterwards counts as a partial update. I learned that after 4 months of doing that without doing the actual update, and that has been a very fun mess to clean up.
Oh, goodness.
What is Pac-Man SYU?
Pac-Man SYU does a full update on Arch, and to update packages after a certain time, you need to run an update on repositories. You're supposed to update all the packages when you do that, and if you don't, and then you continue not doing that for several months because you're lazy and you don't want to have to deal with all that, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. Arch
in a nutshell.
Yeah, Arch is a fun thing. I know at my previous place of work, my boss ran Arch, and it was like morning roulette to figure out what was going to break. Yes, Rich.
Yeah, can anyone speak to Google's involvement with Swift?
Are they involved?
Well, I've heard there's like some work. Google has some teams working on implementing Swift on different platforms and things like that. They're definitely experimenting with it from what I've heard. But yeah, just like I'm sure Microsoft is too a bit.
Right. Okay. Because I know Swift was Apple's deal for the longest time, and so hearing someone else becoming involved with it is interesting.
Yeah, Google definitely has, and I know IBM as well. IBM is working on some of their server-side libraries for Swift.
Dave, your thing is very, very choppy.
Yeah.
It's got video back.
Yeah.
This shows Opus is not perfect, but it does a pretty good job most of the time.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gib.
Slashdot just put a note out there saying that 500,000 Zoom accounts sold on hacker forums, the dark web.
Oh, lovely. That's good to hear. That's always something I want to hear.
Yeah. What are you actually selling? Like premium membership?
Maybe credit cards. Maybe I don't know. I know I have a Zoom account.
Apparently, premium membership can't be bought in bulk, really, from organizations. According to my friend, she has a lot of great rants on Zoom. She's building her own Jitsi server currently.
Oh, good.
And every time she mentions it, she mentions every single way Zoom fails or is corrupt or all of that stuff.
Yeah, right now we have 5 licenses, and we're working on pricing to get more because we're like an 8,000 plus company, but we only got 5 licenses for Zoom.
Nice.
So on some very security conscious, on some very security conscious companies, Zoom is not being used. Like for example, in GE, normally we're not allowed to use it because if you go around and search regarding Zoom security issues, it's actually sending traffic to China and back when you're doing your communications, and between 2 U.S. people, it's sending traffic out to a third world country. So there's some issues there.
Well, I think part of it is, and I think Jitsi is semi-responsible for this as well. That the servers that are handling the encryption happen to be over in another country, and I know Jitsi is. I don't know if they're directly. Again, it's one of these things where you see a blog post, you go, huh, and then so do your own research on what they're doing as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, usually we start talking about a dinner and whatnot over at Buddy's around this time of the meeting, or doing a giveaway or something like that. But I have nothing to give anyone, I'm afraid, other than the love of my heart.
Here's some. Slashdot just indicated GitHub is now providing free for everyone.
Yeah, so that was
now everybody gets GitHub for free.
Well, so there's a free tier. So what I'm seeing with that is that they have teams where you could do teams, but you had to pay for it. And now they have a free tier for their team accounts. And so it looks like they're competing mostly with our good friends over at GitLab for that tier of
GitLab actually recently reduced their free tier. So, for example,
with free tier, you had waiting issues. They now moved it into the bronze package and made more features. It's actually interesting to see that GitHub is throwing more stuff into the free plan, while GitLab is locking stuff away into the starter plan.
I'm just noticing we just a whole bunch of people just decided to go inactive, so that's weird. That's very strange.
What does inactive actually mean?
I don't know. I'm not sure if that means that the server that they're on is not functional or what. That's weird.
Probably not, because it's getting the inactive signal through.
Yeah.
There's these weird times during the day, and I notice it usually Tuesday through Friday, not as bad on Monday, but it seems like noon EST and about this time, it's like there's peaks in video conferencing traffic activity. And I think a lot of it's the West Coast. People are going offline and starting their family conversations. There's just weird peaks that are observed. Not what you'd normally expect. Usually noon is quiet. Not now.
Right. No, and that would explain it, because like I'm looking at this, and it's just there's like a handful of folks that are still on the conference, and a whole bunch that just got knocked off. It looks like almost like a net split.
Yeah, because we've been using Jitsi. We've been using Jitsi heavily since March 15th, and it's just there's these weird glitches that happen. It seems like this time of the day.
Okay. Wow. So I'd like to thank everyone for showing up, though. This was very cool. I hope to see you all next month at our presentation. Like I said, we'll have Marcel Gagne of Cooking with Linux fame talking about VR and Mozilla's Hub. More to come as we navigate these fraught waters of online video conferencing and such.
Yes, if you're not on the mailing list, get on the mailing list. We have an announce list and a discuss list.
Yes.
Because that's where we're sending out links and sending out explanations of where we are and what we're doing.
And also hook on to
or go to Meetup.
Meetup. We also have GetTogether.community as well.
Yes.
We try and post links on all of those things.
Yes.
So yeah.
Very nice presentation, Craig. Very nicely done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, Gemini.
So I on Trello I did a post that I was going to volunteer to do a short demo on Kubernetes.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's just a short demo, so you might include it if you like, along the other presentation that you have.
Thank you.
Not a long time, so maybe 15-30 minutes max.
Right.
I don't know how much time Marcel is going to take at the May meeting. I think he's got a lot to talk about, so we may not be able to get it in the May meeting. Maybe June.
Maybe June. Yeah. Sure.
Definitely.
Can you send us your contact info though, so we can follow up on this?
Yes, I'll put it on the Trello.
Actually,
thank you.
If you send it to board@mug.org.
Yeah, if you just email
board@mug.org.
That would be awesome.
Get it to us.
I'll do that right now.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And again,
reminder: fill out the evaluation forms.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Because we do take this feedback, and we do read it. And if you'd like to be part of our announced mailing list, this is also an opportunity to become part of it, so that you don't have to go through all the wonderful joys of Mailman. Such. Hey, I love Mailman. I think it's a great platform. But I know a lot of people don't care for it.
We can go back to Major Domo.
No, please no. Please no. No. All right. I'm going to end the stream here on YouTube. Thank you, everyone who's been on YouTube and visiting with us. Really appreciate it. We'll catch you all later. Thank you.